Most people think strength comes from avoiding pain, but the truth is, real strength comes from facing it head-on. If you've ever wondered why some people remain calm under pressure while others crumble, it's not because they were born tougher, it's because they learned how to master their minds. Mental toughness isn't a gift, it's a skill. And once you understand the Stoic principles behind it, you'll realize that you have the power to handle anything life throws at you. Today, I'm going to share with you 6 powerful Stoic ways to build unshakable mental toughness. And once you master them, nothing will be able to break you. The first way is to embrace voluntary discomfort to strengthen resilience. Most people go through life trying to avoid discomfort at all costs. They seek comfort, safety, and predictability, believing that happiness lies in the absence of struggle. But the truth is, the more you avoid discomfort, the weaker you become. Strength is not built in comfort. It is forged in the fire of adversity. Imagine a person who never lifts weights, never pushes their body to the limit. They won't build strength. The mind works the same way. If you shield yourself from discomfort, you deny yourself the opportunity to grow mentally tougher. Think about how muscles grow. When you work out, you create tiny tears in the muscle fibers, and your body repairs them, making them stronger. The mind works similarly. When you face discomfort voluntarily, whether it's through physical challenges, stepping out of your comfort zone socially, or enduring difficult situations without running away, you build psychological strength. You're training your mind to handle stress, to remain calm under pressure, and to find solutions when things get tough. Consider someone who decides to take cold showers every morning. It's uncomfortable. The mind screams to stop, to turn the temperature back to warm. But by pushing through that discomfort, you build resilience. You train yourself to remain calm in the face of discomfort, and that carries over into other areas of life. When a difficult conversation arises, when a challenging situation presents itself, you've already trained your mind to sit with discomfort without letting it control you. Another example is fasting. Most people are uncomfortable with the idea of hunger. But by choosing to fast voluntarily, you teach yourself that you can withstand discomfort without panicking or giving in to immediate gratification. Over time, you become mentally tougher because you learn that you are stronger than your impulses. You separate yourself from the need for constant comfort and pleasure, and that creates strength. Mental toughness is not about avoiding pain or struggle. It's about conditioning yourself to handle it with grace. Life will throw challenges your way, whether you like it or not. But if you've already trained yourself to embrace discomfort voluntarily, those challenges won't break you, they'll refine you. The key is to understand that discomfort is not your enemy, it's your training ground. Growth happens when you stop running from discomfort and start using it to build strength. The second way is to master your response, not the outcome. Most people are controlled by external circumstances. If things go well, they feel good. If things go wrong, they fall apart. Their happiness, confidence, and sense of control are tied to things they cannot control: the weather, other people's opinions, the outcome of a situation. But true mental toughness comes from realizing that you cannot control what happens to you, only how you respond to it. When you focus on mastering your response, you take back your power. If someone insults you, you can't control their words, but you can control whether you let it affect you. If a business deal falls through, you can't change the outcome, but you can control whether you learn from it and move forward or spiral into self-pity. Most people waste their energy trying to change things they cannot control, and that's why they feel powerless. But the moment you shift your focus to your response, you reclaim your strength. Think about someone who loses their job unexpectedly. One person might see it as a complete disaster, sink into depression and blame the world for their misfortune. Another person might see it as an opportunity to reassess their goals, improve their skills, and seek out a new career path. The event is the same, losing a job, but the response determines the outcome. The mentally tough person doesn't crumble because they understand that while they couldn't control losing the job, they can control what happens next. Even in personal relationships, this principle applies. If someone betrays you or disappoints you, you can't control their actions, but you can control your response. You can choose to hold on to resentment and let it poison you, or you can choose to forgive and move on with your peace intact. The choice is always yours. Life is unpredictable. You won't always win. You won't always get what you want. But the person who masters their response never feels powerless because they understand that their strength lies not in the outcome, but in how they respond to it. When you stop needing life to go a certain way and instead focus on controlling your reactions, you become unbreakable. Challenges lose their power over you because you've learned that peace and strength come not from the world conforming to your expectations, but from you mastering how you show up no matter what life throws your way. The third way is to detach from the need for external validation. Most people go through life craving approval. They want to be liked, respected, and admired. They shape their decisions based on how they think others will perceive them. They adjust their personalities, water down their opinions, and hesitate to pursue their goals because they fear judgment. But the truth is, the need for validation is a prison. When your sense of worth is tied to how others see you, you're not living for yourself, you're living for them. And that's the quickest way to lose your strength. Think about how often people hesitate to speak up in a room because they're worried about sounding foolish, or how someone might stay in a relationship they know is unhealthy because they're scared of what people will say if they walk away. That need to be accepted, to be seen as good or successful or worthy by others, it creates mental weakness because it hands over control of your life to people who don't have to live with the consequences of your decisions. Strength comes from understanding that your value is not determined by other people's opinions. If you make a decision and someone criticizes you, so what? If you express your truth and someone disagrees, so what? The mentally tough person understands that they are not here to please everyone. They are not here to shape themselves into a version of what other people want. They are here to live authentically, to follow their own path, and to trust that their inner compass is enough. There's a reason why people who are truly strong seem so calm. It's not because everyone likes them. It's because they've stopped needing everyone to like them. They've freed themselves from the emotional roller coaster that comes with chasing approval. When you detach from the need for validation, you stop overthinking every interaction, every decision, every social cue. You stop replaying conversations in your head, wondering if you should have said something differently. You stop hesitating to take action because you're worried about what people might think. You move through life with clarity and confidence because you're no longer trying to win a game that can't be won. The truth is, no matter what you do, people will have opinions. You could live the most virtuous life, succeed at the highest level, and still, someone will find a reason to criticize you. That's human nature. But here's the thing, their opinions are not your responsibility. You can't control what people think, and you don't need to. When you internalize that truth, you stop trying to be everything for everyone, and that's where true freedom begins. Consider someone who starts a business. In the beginning, they face criticism, people telling them they're crazy, that it won't work, that they should play it safe. If they let those opinions affect them, they might pull back, play small, or give up entirely. But the person who is mentally tough keeps going, not because they know they'll succeed, but because they understand that their path is not up for public debate. They are not looking for permission or approval. They've made peace with the fact that not everyone will understand their vision, and that's okay. Strength is built when you stop needing people to see the value in your decisions, and instead trust that you see it. Even in personal relationships, this principle holds. If you define yourself by how much someone else loves you or respects you, you give them the power to control your emotional state. If they approve of you, you feel good. If they withdraw, you feel worthless. But when you detach from the need for validation, you reclaim your emotional power. You understand that your value doesn't rise and fall based on how someone else treats you. You are whole, independent of anyone else's opinion. That's where true strength lies, in knowing that you don't need to be liked, understood, or approved of to know your worth. Mentally tough people don't seek to offend or isolate others, but they also don't compromise themselves to be liked. They understand that authenticity will cost them relationships, that being true to themselves will make some people uncomfortable, and they've made peace with that. Because in the end, the only person who needs to live with your decisions is you. The only person who needs to believe in your path is you. When you detach from the need for approval, you become untouchable. Criticism no longer shakes you. Praise no longer defines you. You move through life with quiet strength because you know that your worth is not something anyone else gets to decide. The fourth way is to embrace discomfort instead of avoiding it. Most people spend their lives running from discomfort. They avoid difficult conversations, challenging situations, and anything that feels uncertain or uncomfortable. They choose the path of least resistance because it feels safe. But the truth is, growth never happens in comfort. Strength is built in the moments when you lean into discomfort instead of running from it. Think about how easy it is to avoid hard truths. It's easier to stay quiet when you're being treated unfairly than to speak up and risk confrontation. It's easier to stick to your routine, even if it's unfulfilling, than to face the uncertainty of change. It's easier to avoid difficult conversations with people you care about than to risk creating tension. But avoidance doesn't solve anything. It just delays the inevitable. That conversation you're avoiding will eventually come to the surface. That discomfort you're running from will keep showing up until you face it. The person who is mentally tough understands that discomfort is not the enemy, it's the path. Strength comes when you stop seeking comfort and start seeking truth. That means asking yourself the hard questions. Am I living in alignment with my values? Am I staying in this situation because it's right for me or because I'm scared to leave? Am I avoiding this conversation because it's not necessary or because I don't want to deal with the emotional fallout? Facing those questions is uncomfortable, but growth only happens when you stop running from the truth. There's a reason why mentally tough people seem so calm under pressure. It's not because they don't feel discomfort. It's because they've trained themselves to face it head-on. They've conditioned themselves to sit with discomfort instead of reaching for distractions. They don't numb themselves with mindless entertainment or escape into bad habits when things get hard. They sit with the discomfort, they process it, and they move through it. That's strength. Consider someone training for a marathon. The first few runs are painful. Their muscles burn, their lungs hurt, and their body resists every step. But if they stop the moment it gets hard, they'll never build the endurance to finish the race. It's in pushing through the discomfort, in training their body to endure the pain, that strength is built. The same principle applies to life. If you retreat the moment things get hard, when a relationship becomes complicated, when a goal feels out of reach, when a situation becomes emotionally uncomfortable, you're not allowing yourself to grow. Strength is built when you stop seeing discomfort as a threat and start seeing it as a training ground. Facing discomfort means accepting that you will sometimes feel exposed, vulnerable, awkward. There will be moments when you say the wrong thing, when you take a step and stumble, when you risk something and it doesn't work out. But that's the cost of growth. The person who is mentally tough doesn't crumble when they fail. They adjust. They don't retreat when they face resistance. They adapt. Strength isn't about perfection, it's about resilience. It's about knowing that discomfort is not a reason to stop. It's a sign that you're growing. Avoiding discomfort is a form of weakness because it means you're letting fear control your life. If you avoid difficult conversations because you fear conflict, you're allowing that fear to limit your relationships. If you avoid pursuing a goal because you fear failure, you're allowing that fear to limit your potential. If you avoid stepping out of your comfort zone because you fear uncertainty, you're allowing that fear to limit your life. Strength comes when you stop letting discomfort dictate your decisions. Mentally tough people don't seek out discomfort for the sake of suffering, but they also don't run from it when it shows up. They understand that discomfort is a necessary part of progress. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. If you're not stretching yourself, challenging yourself, and stepping into the unknown, you're not building strength. Growth and comfort cannot coexist. The path to strength is through discomfort, not around it. When you face discomfort head-on, you realize it's not as threatening as you thought. The conversation you were dreading, it wasn't as painful as you imagined. The change you were resisting, it opened doors you didn't even know existed. The challenge you were avoiding, it made you stronger than you thought possible. Strength isn't found in the absence of discomfort. It's found in your ability to face it, move through it, and come out on the other side. The fifth way is to control your response, not the situation. Life is unpredictable. No matter how much you plan or prepare, there will always be situations beyond your control. People will disappoint you, plans will fall apart, unexpected challenges will show up when you least expect them. And in those moments, it's easy to feel powerless, to feel like life is happening to you instead of you being in control of it. But the truth is, you are never powerless, because while you can't control the situation, you can always control your response. Most people waste incredible amounts of energy trying to control things that are completely out of their hands. They try to control how other people behave, how situations unfold, and how the future plays out. But all of that is wasted effort, because the only thing you can ever truly control is yourself. Your thoughts, your actions, your attitude. Mentally tough people understand this distinction. They don't waste energy trying to fix things outside of their control. They focus on mastering their internal response. Imagine you're standing in traffic. Cars are honking, people are yelling, and the noise is overwhelming. You have two options. You can scream at the cars, wave your arms and try to make them stop, or you can accept that you can't control the traffic and focus on controlling your reaction to it. You can breathe, step aside, and figure out the best way to navigate through the chaos. Life is like that traffic. The noise, the chaos, the unpredictability, you can't stop it, but you can choose how you respond to it. When someone insults you, you don't have to give them power over you by reacting emotionally. When a plan falls apart, you don't have to spiral into frustration and blame. You can adapt. When life throws something unexpected at you, you don't have to panic. You can adjust. Strength comes from knowing that your peace does not depend on external circumstances. It comes from your ability to regulate your internal state. That's what makes you unshakable. There's a reason why mentally tough people seem calm even when everything around them is chaotic. It's not because they don't feel the pressure. It's because they've trained themselves to focus on what they can control and release what they can't. If someone says something hurtful, they don't waste energy trying to change that person's mind or prove themselves. They recognize that they can't control another person's thoughts or words, but they can control whether they give that person's words the power to affect their peace. That's strength. Think about how often frustration comes from trying to control the uncontrollable. You want someone to treat you differently, but you can't control how they feel. You want a situation to unfold a certain way, but you can't control the outcome. You want life to follow a predictable path, but life doesn't work that way. The more you try to control things outside of your influence, the more frustrated and powerless you feel. But when you shift your focus inward, When you stop trying to control the external and focus on mastering the internal, you reclaim your power. Mentally tough people have learned to create a gap between stimulus and response. Most people react immediately to situations. If someone insults them, they lash out. If a plan falls apart, they lose their temper. If they encounter resistance, they panic. But mentally tough people have trained themselves to pause in that gap, to take a breath, assess the situation, and choose their response instead of reacting emotionally. That's why they appear calm under pressure. They've conditioned themselves not to let emotions drive their actions. It's not about suppressing emotions, it's about managing them. Anger, fear, frustration, these are natural human responses. But you don't have to let them control you. When someone angers you, you have a choice: react impulsively or respond intentionally. When you feel fear, you have a choice: let it paralyze you or take action despite it. Strength isn't about never feeling emotions, it's about not letting those emotions dictate your decisions. It's also about letting go of attachment to outcomes. You can't control the outcome of every situation, and trying to will only lead to frustration. But you can control your effort, your preparation, and your mindset. If you've given your best and things still don't work out, mentally tough people don't collapse, they adjust. They understand that failure isn't always a reflection of effort. Sometimes things just don't work out. And when that happens, they don't dwell on the loss, they refocus on what they can control and move forward. Control doesn't come from dominating the world around you, it comes from mastering the world within you. You can't control the weather, but you can carry an umbrella. You can't control how someone else treats you, but you can control how you respond to them. You can't control every outcome, but you can control your preparation and your mindset. Strength comes from knowing that your peace isn't dependent on the outside world, it's rooted in your ability to regulate your internal world. Master your response, and you'll never feel powerless. The sixth way is to practice voluntary discomfort to strengthen your resilience. Comfort is addictive. It's easy to settle into routines that feel safe, familiar, and predictable. But the problem with comfort is that it makes you weak. When you only operate within your comfort zone, you deprive yourself of the opportunity to grow. Strength doesn't come from ease, it comes from challenge. If you want to build mental toughness, you have to be willing to seek out discomfort intentionally. Most people avoid discomfort at all costs. They avoid difficult conversations, challenging situations, and anything that feels uncertain or uncomfortable. But the problem with this avoidance is that it makes you fragile. Life is unpredictable. You will face discomfort whether you seek it out or not. The difference is, when you actively engage with discomfort on your own terms, you condition yourself to handle it better when it inevitably shows up. That's how you build resilience. By training yourself to stay calm and composed when things are difficult. Think about physical strength. If you want to build muscle, you have to push your body beyond what feels comfortable. You have to lift heavier weights, run longer distances, and push through the pain. It's uncomfortable, but that discomfort is exactly what strengthens you. The same principle applies to mental strength. If you always take the easy path, if you avoid difficult conversations, challenging goals, and situations where you might fail, you'll stay mentally weak. Strength comes from walking into discomfort willingly and learning to sit with it without flinching. One of the most effective ways to build mental toughness is through voluntary discomfort. That means putting yourself in situations that challenge you. Waking up early even when you don't feel like it. Taking cold showers even though it's uncomfortable. Fasting when you don't need to. Holding your tongue when you're tempted to lash out. Speaking up in a room where you feel insecure. Taking on a project that scares you because you don't know if you can handle it. These moments of voluntary discomfort create internal strength because they teach you how to handle discomfort without letting it break you. Most people only face discomfort when they have no other choice, when life forces it upon them. But when you seek it out voluntarily, you build confidence. You prove to yourself that you're stronger than your impulses, your fears, and your discomfort. You develop the ability to stay composed when things don't go your way, because you've already trained your mind to sit with discomfort without letting it control you. That's what separates mentally tough people from everyone else. They don't crumble when life gets hard, because they've already been through the fire by choice. There's a quiet strength in knowing you can handle discomfort. When you've taught yourself to sit with hunger, cold, fatigue, and uncertainty and not react emotionally, you start to realize that most of the things you fear aren't actually that bad. You start to see discomfort as temporary and manageable. Most people are controlled by the fear of discomfort, the fear of failing, the fear of rejection, the fear of looking weak. But when you've conditioned yourself to handle discomfort voluntarily, you take that fear away. You become untouchable because you're no longer controlled by the need to feel comfortable all the time. Imagine you're preparing for a major event, maybe a presentation, an athletic competition, or a difficult conversation. If you've conditioned yourself to handle stress and discomfort, you'll walk into that moment with a sense of calm. You won't be rattled if things don't go perfectly because you've already trained yourself to sit with discomfort. You've already learned how to breathe through it, think clearly under pressure, and adjust when things don't go as planned. That's mental toughness, not the absence of discomfort, but the ability to sit with it without losing your composure. One of the greatest benefits of practicing voluntary discomfort is that it builds emotional discipline. Most people react impulsively when they feel uncomfortable. They lash out, shut down, or run away. But when you've trained yourself to sit with discomfort, you learn to separate emotion from action. Just because you feel fear doesn't mean you have to act on it. Just because you feel frustrated doesn't mean you have to lash out. Just because you feel insecure doesn't mean you have to back down. Strength comes from creating that gap between feeling and reaction. The goal isn't to seek out suffering, it's to build a mind that isn't threatened by it. When you've experienced discomfort voluntarily, you stop being afraid of it. You stop seeing failure as something catastrophic because you've already proven to yourself that you can handle setbacks. You stop fearing rejection because you've already faced it head-on. You stop fearing loss because you've taught yourself that you can endure discomfort without falling apart. That's why mentally tough people are so steady. They've built confidence not from avoiding discomfort, but from walking directly into it and realizing they can survive. Strength isn't about being unbreakable. It's about knowing you can handle discomfort without being shaken by it. When you stop avoiding discomfort and start embracing it, you take control of your mind. You stop being ruled by fear and start moving through life with confidence. You stop being controlled by external circumstances because you've already proven to yourself that you can handle discomfort without falling apart. That's the kind of strength that lasts. Not surface-level toughness, but deep, internal resilience that comes from training yourself to sit with discomfort without letting it break you.